Used car prices are crashing. In this video, I want to let you know what I'm seeing with pricing at used car auctions. I also want to let you know what I think is going on to make prices crash and to let you know where I think we're going. If you like this content, please like and subscribe to the channel to get more of it. So last week I posted a video of a used car dealer auction, and I was really disappointed because my experience going to these auctions in the last year and a half has been just utter chaos. Lots of dealers, lots of bidding, and I wanted to show this in this video, but last week just wasn't the case. And I've been seeing this trend rising through all of the auctions that I go to. I'm seeing less and less dealers at these auctions, and the ones that are there are bidding far less than what we've come to experience in the last year. Just as an example, if you look at this section right here, 6 months ago, I couldn't walk in this area without bumping into another dealer that was trying to bid on these cars. This is the area that we would stand in, and it was, I mean, elbow to elbow in every auction every week, and now it just looks like there's no one there. My buddy is one of the auctioneers at this particular auction, and after the auction went through, I talked to him for a little bit, and he said in his lane alone he no-sold at least 40% of all the cars that ran. Now a no-sell is when the bidding doesn't go high enough to cover the seller's reserve. So say that the seller wants $2,500 for this car, and the bids only go up to $1,000. So that seller obviously is not going to sell the car. So they'll just no-sell it right there. The auctioneer will just no-sell it right there on the block. 6 months ago, no-sells were not even something that ever happened because buyers were willing to pay so much for the inventory. It's not the case now. It's like a switch was just flipped, and no one wants to buy anything anymore. There are two reasons why used car dealers won't buy at auctions. One, they're not selling anything, and they can't justify buying any more inventory when they feel like they just can't sell it on their lot as it is. Or they're overexposed and over-leveraged themselves with their floor plans and don't have any ability to buy anymore. So I think what has happened to these used car dealers are both things. They got overexposed a few months ago with the inventory. They were paying too much for it. They were paying the 3 month ago prices, but right now the prices are going down, so they're underwater on a lot of these cars that they are purchasing. They can't sell them. So to buy more inventory, they have to borrow more money on their floor plans, which overexposes them even more, and they're capping out what they're able to borrow. So now they're at a breaking point where they're not selling anything, but they're also not able to buy anything either because they just don't have the available funds. So a floor plan is how most used car dealers get the funding to purchase the inventory that they're going to have on their lot. They don't have the available funds to just go out and buy these cars with cash. So they go to the bank and they get financing. So basically they're swiping a credit card every time that they're buying one of these vehicles. I go into a little bit more detail on what a floor plan is in the podcast we recently released. If you go down to the description, I'll leave a link for it below. At this particular auction, I was able to buy 4 vehicles, and all of them were at least 50% cheaper than where they would have been 6 months ago. The first one I want to show you is a 2014 Chevy Equinox, and I wanted to get video of this one because I thought it was particularly good. I only paid $2,200 for this, but when we got it back to the lot, we actually sold it before I started working on this video, so all you get's a picture. And the next one that I bought that was really good was a 2012 a GMC Arcadia, and I only paid $2,500 for it. I don't have pictures or video of it yet. It hasn't been transported, but the other two I do. So at that same auction, I bought this as a 2014 Kia Soul, and I only paid $1,000 for it. It's just no one was bidding on it. I also got this one. It's nothing special. It's a 2010 Chevy Impala, and I paid $1,900 bucks. But 6 months ago, the same car would have been $4,000, $4,500, somewhere around there. And last week we bought this 2007 Camry for $2,400. Again, nothing special, nothing great about it, but this car would have been easy $4,000 6 months ago. We bought this '04 Ranger in the past week for $2,100. I mean, everyone knows trucks have been absolutely crazy in the last 6 months. This would have been easy for $4,500. This is a Kia Soul. We would have sold this probably for $6,500 to $7,000 6 months ago, and now we were able to buy it cheap enough to be able to sell it for $4,500. It's been a lot nicer to be able to actually sell cars where people can afford them. So why are used car prices dropping so much so quickly? I think before we get into a discussion about that, I want to show you what used car prices typically do most years. So every year, the used car market goes through a pump and a crash. And we have this pump and crash because the used car industry is so reactionary. It's in large part because these used car dealers are living so hand to mouth, so paycheck to paycheck. So every year, just like clockwork, it happens around the same time every year. We get the golden era for the used car industry, and it's called tax time. This is when everyone gets their tax refund checks, and they're large compared to what a normal person's income is, and this is the time that they want to go and buy a used car. So they go to these used car lots and they buy the used car with their tax refund check, and now the used car dealer all of a sudden sells most of their lot in a 10-day span, and they don't know what happened. It seems to catch these used car dealers by surprise every year. I have the same conversation with the same guys every year. They say, I sold all my cars and I have to rush to the auction to buy some more. I don't know what happened. It's just everyone showed up and wanted to buy a car. Well, of course it happened because everyone was just flush with cash all of a sudden and they wanted to buy a car. Just an example of how good this time period is. Just in a 14 to 21 day period, my business will make 1/5 of what it will make all year in just that 2 to 3 week time period. So now these used car dealers rush to the auction and they go buy everything. As you can see in this chart, the pump right at tax time, and then it stays high for a while, and then all the money disappears. So these used car dealers are stuck with the stuff they paid too much for, and then comes the crash. Prices after that will trickle up a little bit through summer, right before kids go back to school, and then they'll fall off again as kids go back to school. There'll be another little pump right at the beginning of fall, and then a dump, whereas the best time to buy is November, December, January, because of the holiday season. People are spending money on gifts, so they're not going to be buying cars. So those 3 months are the slowest time for the used car industry and also the best time for you to buy a car. So this is not what happened in 2021. In 2021, we started out the year in January. We got the $600 stimulus checks from the government, and that bumped up prices. And then we next, I talked about it earlier, we have the golden age of the tax refund, and that made prices bump up even higher. And then right after that, there was another tier of stimulus checks that went out, and that one was $1,400, and that came out in March. And from there, the next crazy thing happened. The prices started to level out just a little bit, but then inventory just tanked. So there was all these cars that were bought, but none to replace them. And the inventory issues just kept dragging on until the end of the year. If you want a more detailed description of why the car inventory went down so low last year, you can check out our podcast. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. Prices last year went up so high that banks were having to loan up to 140% of the value of the car to just get people into these loans to be able to purchase the vehicles. So now the opposite is happening. The used car price bubble has popped and prices are starting to crash. So what do we know that is needed for a large-scale crash to happen with prices? The first thing we need is affordability to go down. Check, we've already got that. The average monthly car payment has hit an all-time high of $733 a month. Auto loans are also becoming much harder to get, with the banks tightening to protect themselves from the possible upcoming recession. Inflation is running higher than it has in decades. So that means the things that you spend your money on, gas, food, rent, everything is going up, meaning that the availability of money to spend on other things is going down. The next thing we need for a major crash in pricing is for demand to plummet. We're already seeing that start to happen right now. The consumer is done paying these higher prices. We are also coming into a seasonally weak time of the year for autos, so demand should continue to decline. The last thing we need for this major crash to happen is for inventory explosion upwards. And this is the big question mark, because the new car dealers really aren't putting out a lot of new cars right now, and that also means that there's not going to be a surplus of trade-ins. The trend that we are seeing that's alarming is that the repo market is starting to take off. Auto repossessions might be the place where we see this inventory explosion happen that we need. People may not be able to afford these sky-high monthly payments. As the price of these used vehicles goes down, if a person wants to get out of their car, out of these sky-high monthly payments, then they're going to be stuck. They can't sell the car because they're underwater. They can't trade it in because there's still just no value in the car. They can't refinance to get a lower monthly payment because they have no equity. And so if they can't afford the payments, there's nothing left for them to do than just walk away from the car. Another thing that might happen is that a person who bought a car, say last year, for $12,000, prices correct some, and now they see that same car on a used car dealer lot for $8,000, and they might still owe $10,500 on the car that they have. So why wouldn't they just walk away from that car and then buy the same exact car for the lower amount now? Another alarming thing that I'm starting to see at these used car auctions is that floor plan companies are starting to run cars. I have a friend that works for a floor plan company, and what she has been saying is that these guys who are not able to sell their cars, they're actually taking these cars from the dealer. They're repoing these cars from the dealer and taking them to the auction and dumping them. So the dealer is going to be responsible for the difference. So if that dealer bought that car 4 months ago for $7,000 and they run it through the auction, and now it only brings $3,000, which is realistic numbers for right now, the dealer is responsible for the difference of that $4,000. And if they're not able to pay it, either they're going to lose their floor plan or it's going to be greatly decreased because they are now a risky person to loan money to. So a lot of these dealers they're about to be in very big trouble, I believe. So in my opinion, what do I think is going to happen and how long is it going to take? So I do believe that we are setting up for and beginning a 2008 style housing crash in the used car industry. I don't think it's going to take very long. Usually the used car market with pricing moves very fast because of these dealers that are on floor plan. They have to move their cars fast to be able to keep up with the interest rates, to also be able to keep up with their payments that they have to pay to these floor plan companies to keep their accounts active. So I think it's going to be very fast. I think the best time to buy a used car is going to be this year, December, and then January of next year. And then after that, I think the prices will go back up a little bit as tax time hits again next February. But I do believe there's going to be a monstrous crash coming at the end of this year. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed it and like the content, please subscribe to our channel. Please like this video, and we'll try to get you some more content just like this. And thanks for watching.